When you become a parent, you get so much unsolicited advice. So let me tell you the advice I'm actually glad I got as a mum transitioning from 1 to 2. I'm gonna laminate my brows and then tint them as well. And I have to be so quiet because my baby is sleeping literally right over there. Piece of advice number 1 that was actually worth hearing: before you go to hospital to have your second baby, take some extra time to soak in your first baby. Focus on how little you feel like they are. As soon as you hold your newborn and your first baby comes to see you in the hospital, you're going to feel like they grew up overnight. The next piece of advice is don't blame the baby. If you do that, you're going to build resentment between the two. The older sibling is going to feel like you're not there for them as much anymore because of the baby. Whenever they need something from you and you're busy with the baby, don't say, "I'm just doing this with the baby." Instead say, "I'll be there in 5 minutes." I'll give them a time frame. Next piece of advice is lower your expectations. Really that simple. Your toddler is probably going to miss some naps that you're used to facilitating. You may not be able to hold your newborn baby as much as you held your firstborn. And your toddler is probably not going to be wearing perfectly clean clothes all of the time. When I only had one, she was going through like 2 or 3 changes of clothes a day. And that just is not possible with the 2. The next piece of advice is try not to say things like "be careful," especially when your first is trying to help with your second. That's another thing too. Let them get involved. Let them hand you wipes. Let them hand you a nappy. Let them help choose your baby's outfit for the day, things like that. On the flip side of letting them help with their sibling, you want to make sure that you don't force it if they're not interested. That is another way that you could risk building resentment if they feel like now their siblings come along and they have to do all this stuff that they don't want to do. Rather than saying like, "Go and get your sister a nappy," you could be like, "Would you like to help me change your sister?" You know, like invite them, but don't make them feel like it's their responsibility, because it's not. The next is treat your firstborn like a baby. Even though when you see them for the first time, it's going to look like they grew up overnight, they actually are probably going to go through some sort of regression and act more like a baby. And they'll also tend to do things to imitate the baby, which can be really frustrating sometimes. They'll be going through some emotions, some jealousy, adding the new baby. So just make sure that you pay them the same attention that you do the baby so that they don't feel left out. Next one is when you're doing something for your toddler, you can say to your baby, even though they have no idea what you're saying, you can say to your baby, "Okay baby, just wait, I'm gonna go and do this for your older one," whatever their name is. That way your toddler hears you telling the baby to wait, because chances are you're going to be telling the toddler to wait a lot more than they used to. So if they hear it on the flip side too, recognize when you are prioritizing their needs over the baby. And last is to make sure to really build up your firstborn when they're being really kind and gentle with your secondborn. Constantly saying things like, "You're such a good big sister," or "You're such a good big brother." We could have just gotten really lucky, but the transition from 1 to 2 for us was really easy. And that could just be because our toddler already has that kind of personality, but we did implement all of these things, so it can't hurt,